What's good, beautiful people? It's your girl Donna with the I Am Donna podcast, and I'm so grateful to be here with you all. Thank you for sharing this moment of your life with me. So let's get into our affirmation, and our affirmation for today is I choose peace within myself so I can show up with love and understanding for others. I choose peace within myself so I can show up for love and understanding for others. So today, I have the pleasure of another special guest whose work speaks volumes, literally through visual. Devin Meekins, he is an internationally published, award winning fashion editorial and advertising photographer. He's a visionary creative director whose lens captures more than just images, it captures essence, it captures energy, and stories we leave untold. So, Devin brings intention, he brings depth to his work, and it truly reflects balance. So, today, I want to go ahead and let Devin say whatever he wants to say. You got something for the people right now?
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, whatever time, whatever time you are receiving this, it could be afternoon, morning, whatever. But peace and blessings to all of you who are listening.
Yeah.
Glad you could be here with us, and hopefully we can bring something of value to your life.
Yeah, you out there in the sunshine in Hawaii.
Yeah. It's been a great trip.
Yeah,
Couple more days, and enjoying it.
I love that. So today
Getting
we're gonna
grounded.
be Oh, I love that. I love that. That's
Yeah,
the best. That is often the best thing to do. Stay
yeah,
grounded.
yeah, for sure, for
So we're
sure.
gonna be diving into creativity as a healing force, through the balance of feminine and masculine energy through the artistic eye. So I just want to welcome you again to the show. How you feeling?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I feel good. At this moment, I'm very energized because, like I said, I've been in Hawaii.
Mm.
Um, been able to take my shoes off for the last 4 days. I don't think I've worn shoes maybe more than an hour just to go in the store. Um, but yeah, because like out here, certain stores they say shoes and shirts required. So a
Mhm.
lot of times you don't wear no shoes or anything. Like by the time you hit someone's front yard, it's just common practice to take your shoes off.
Yeah,
So it's been good to be able to get grounded, and relax, get
I
some
love it.
positive currents like far as the waves or whatever you want to say. I made some money while I was here too, so the
Hmm.
currents are flowing in for sure.
And I bet that water is healing all the salt and everything.
Yeah, for sure. The minerals on my skin. I will say that I used to have like a skin problems. Like I wouldn't say I think I had the best skin prior to coming to Hawaii. Like when I first
Hmm.
moved here.
Hmm.
But like I said, just being in that salt water, I don't know if it's exfoliating or what it's doing, but every time I come back, the water's very good for my skin. After I actually wash all the salt off, because it dries it up really quickly. But after that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's definitely an exfoliator. I need to get up in there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just want to, dive into what you do and what you love. How do you approach your craft, not just photography, but like on an energetic level, on an energetic expression?
I think about it this way. A lot of the times, the moments that I create, they last forever, right?
Mm,
Uh, the picture is worth 1,000 words. Prior to becoming or taking my photography serious, it sounded cliche,
okay.
but over time, I've been able to capture moments that last forever. And I say that without getting too grim. There's been a couple times where, um, I'll give you an example of my father. I didn't I didn't, my father was getting engaged
Mm-hmm.
and he had an engagement party. And I just said, let me bring my camera along. It wasn't needed, but I bought my camera and I took some pictures of him. And those pictures ended up being like the last great or quality pictures we had of him before he passed away.
Mm,
And those pictures that I took ended up being on the obituary and the shirts. So those moments were like the last moments that I had of him when he was in good condition. So
mm,
those pictures, unbeknownst to me at the moment, end up lasting forever. That was like my last memories I have of him. For me, just thinking like, all right, bring my camera and just shoot some shots. You know what I mean? I
right.
want it. You're supposed to be a moment where we're just all celebrating, but I'm like, Even though I'm not on duty and I haven't been hired to take pictures of this event, let me just take it for myself. And it worked out. It was those photos that last forever for me personally and my sisters as well. So it
Mhm.
was one of those dope moments. And I've had a couple times where people have had a lost one, um, either lost one or I said lost one, but a loved one
Yeah.
that they've lost. Um, and they came to me, it's like, do you still have those photos? Or I was looking at the link that you sent me 3 years ago, and this photo was the photo that we chose for this event for this family member. So it's interesting how those photos last forever.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I think to is for me, it's just about how can I tell the story of this event or this day? How
Mhm.
can I create something that people want to look back at later?
Right.
And thankfully, a lot of those times it's worked out. Um, Even for family members that I've done multiple years consecutively, you can see the growth in their family,
Mm.
the growth in their kids.
Yeah.
And you're capturing all those moments. So it's pretty cool. I remember being a kid where when we took a picture and I look back at it and it'll be a picture from like first grade, your first grade picture, and then 3 years later, it's like you get your fourth grade picture and you don't have those moments in between.
Right.
And now with the access to cameras or with our camera phones, we're able to capture those moments even more frequently. So being able to to create something that stands out amongst those everyday pictures, it's been cool. It's been an interesting experience.
I love that perspective. Sometimes we take those type of things for granted, and thank you for even being vulnerable, sharing about your father and everything. That's a beautiful experience. And then on top of you just being creative and going with the flow, you were able to create those memories and even creating those memories for other people. You know what I'm saying? That's like a
Yeah,
gift to people. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, for
I
sure.
really respect that. I love that. So a big part of the last few episodes, we've been unpacking balance between the feminine, the masculine energy, especially how it shows up in a wounded way. And so,
Mhm.
as a creative, how have you navigated the expectations placed on your masculinity in the industry in your personal life? I know that men go through a lot, and I'm not a man, so I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
Um, to be honest, I'm still kind of navigating what is masculine and what's feminine,
Mm,
and I'll say that from the perspective of being a father. Um, we're tasked, well, I'm tasked to teach my son how to be a man. Even now, I'm giving him a little teachable moments every day, and I struggle to this day of, am I teaching him something because I believe it's masculine, and I
mm-hmm.
feel like he should be this way as a boy, or
Yeah.
am I teaching him something just because I was taught this, right? And then again, I was taught how to be a man from a woman. So that's a tough thing to navigate. Like, am I teaching my son what my mom expected a man to be for her, or am I teaching my son what a man should be?
Mm,
Right. So
mhm,
I'm still learning as we go. I'll give you an example. He had his legs. He was sitting down the other day. We had just came back from the beach and he crossed his legs. And it
mm,
wasn't in a traditional like a woman would cross their legs. But I'm like, all right, this is how a man should cross their legs. These are the
mm,
two ways that men normally cross their legs, or the way that they show strength in their posture, right? So I'm talking to him and now I'm thinking like, is this really masculine or is this a, something that was just
an
passed down
identity.
traditionally,
Yeah.
culturally? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so this is what I struggle with on a daily basis. And another example is we're walking the other day on the street, and I'm telling him, all right, the traffic is this way, so I need you to be on this side of me. And he was like, Dad, why do you do that? And I was like, well, I want to make sure that I'm always in between the potential danger, right?
Yeah.
Granted, if a car comes my way, there's nothing I can do with a car, but other than try to like throw him out of the way. But it's just protector in me that wants to protect them from any possible danger.
Mhm.
So there's some things that I think about. How do I teach my son how to be a protector and be strong, but also vulnerable and nurturing at the same time?
Yeah.
Um, so those are things that I struggle with, or not even struggle with. These are things that I'm navigating on a daily basis now.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that in my work, um, I think about it in this way: like, what is everything has duality, right? What is can I bring both elements? Um, there's times when I'm doing a wedding and I have to be a nurturer, right? The
Mhm.
bride is nervous, and she. There's times when they're like, "Oh, you were so calm. Your calm and energy has brought me back to balance, and I was able to go and do this wedding thanks to you, right?"
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a masculine trait or not, uh, but
Mhm.
traditionally, I guess calming and nurturing is traditionally a feminine trait, right?
Mhm.
So I think you got to be able to have both and be and not be too ashamed to be vulnerable and be able to do both. If that makes sense. Uh,
That makes sense.
when you're a man, you're a man. You just taught to be strong and be a certain way,
Right.
and be macho, whatever that may be. And over time, you become too hard to be soft.
Mm. Mm.
So
Wow.
being able to be soft sometimes, and maybe having a daughter that helps as well.
You said a lot that I really admire and respect because we don't know everything. And so the fact that you're able to be aware of what you're doing, what you're saying, and even just question that, like with the legs crossing and everything. I
Yeah,
think that is amazing because again, that's you being aware, you not having a such a rigid view about how things should be. And
yeah,
you're just, navigating the best way you can. And I think
yeah,
that's all anyone can do, just navigate life the best way they can.
yeah,
However, I think that the extra layer of awareness about, okay, is this really how it has to be? It just adds to the nurturing. It just adds to trying to show up in a better way. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, I love that. So, do you see your photography as a way to soften or reshape the narratives about masculinity? You kind of said that when you were speaking about calming the bride and everything. So,
yeah.
yeah.
So, so what I will say is, when I first got into photography in high school,
Mm,
from my, from what I remember, sometimes we recreate memories.
yeah.
Um, but from what I recollect and what I remember in high school, it was a predominantly there was more women in the class, more girls in the class, and I remember wanting to do photography because that's where all the girls was at. And I'm like, oh, it's a dark room. The dark room and this girl sign me up, right?
That sounds about
So
right.
yeah, so I'm like, I'm with it. So I guess from my experience, it's not a when you get into the professional side, it's not. It's like it from my perspective, it seems like it's a male driven career. Like the males do really well.
Okay.
Um, so, but growing up, it always seemed like a girl thing to take pictures, right?
Mm,
Uh, uh, that was from what I remember.
okay.
Like uh, the girls was in there taking the pictures, and us guys back home, we play football.
Right, right,
Nobody's thinking about taking time to be an artist other than making music. Um, Nobody thought about art that way, right?
right.
Um, at least I would say from the people that I grew up with. I'll say that my limited perspective. But then what made me want to take my photography to the professional level is I had my son and I was like, I'm gonna teach my son that he can do whatever he wants and become whatever he wants, but I'm not doing it to the best of my abilities at this moment. So let me put my art out there. I'm very I'm a very secretive person, so if I create something, most of the time it's just for myself. And it took a leap of faith to start putting my work out there for others to
Mm.
see. Because we have sometimes we have that imposter syndrome, feeling like we're not good enough,
Whoa, yeah.
and feeling like nobody's going to like the work that we do. So it photography is for me is humbling because there's times when I think I'm not good enough and everyone loves it, but there's times when I think it's the greatest work ever and nobody cares, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, ooh, I'm like, do you see what I did with the light? And nobody's like, everyone's like, "Oh, it's a
Okay.
picture, bro. It's a picture. Nobody cares about that little one speck of light that you're excited about. So it's humbling for sure. And I don't know if I answered your question. Can you tell me ask your question again so I can make sure I answered it?
You answered it. I'm going to tell you because it was basically, do you see photography as a way to shape or resoften narratives about masculinity? And you answered it in so many ways. And one of the ways that I really want to point out, and I'm gonna give a little backstory because Devin and I grew up in the same area. So I understand what you're saying about, that wasn't something that you thought that I guess was masculine, or even something that was supposed to be creative, or even something that was considered you can really do this, and make
Yeah,
a living or be successful because, that's just not what people saw. It was like you said, music for guys, sports.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, you definitely answer that and it reshapes the narrative in the way that you're doing it, number one. Number one,
yeah,
you're doing it. Number two, um, from where we grew up, and that not being seen, it, it it's an example of how it already
yeah.
you're a living example of the reshaping of the narrative. So yeah, you answered the question.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I mean, we could talk about art as healing. Art is healing. Um, and so have there ever been moments where photography helped you process emotions or wounds or like discover deeper parts of who you are?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Well, we talked about my father, right?
Hmm.
My father, when I found out he passed, I already had a photo shoot planned. And I found out as I'm walking out of the door. We knew it was coming, but the moment that he passed, I found out as we were walking out the door. And something as simple as me being able to go to this photo shoot and create took my mind off of everything. Like I was able to go in there and create. And I got one of my most memorable photo shoots out of that day.
Hmm.
So, and at that time, this photo shoot was a photo shoot that I did for myself. It wasn't a paid photo shoot. I actually paid for the model to come to the studio
Hmm.
and just shoot some things that I wanted to do and practice on my craft, some things that I wanted to do for myself.
Yeah.
Um, and that's been cool. So like when you do photography, a lot of times you're getting paid to help someone else cultivate their vision. But there's times when you have things in your mind that you want to create for yourself. So that was one of those photo shoots that I took time to create for myself, and it was cool. It turned out well. So photography is an outlet for me to just create something that will, for me, make me feel better.
Hmm.
Um, and it makes me feel better because anytime I can think about something, an idea in my head, and it comes to fruition, uh, it's pretty dope. And I don't, I think about it this way, like if you ever heard a song or any piece of music, somebody created it in their head. It came out of nowhere, and I enjoy it to this moment. Like I've been listening to the Sabrina Carpenter song my whole trip. Uh,
Which one?
uh, so it's been Bad Kim, and then my friend here, he put me on another one. Don't smile.
Oh, I need to listen to
Uh,
that one because you put
yeah,
me on
yeah,
Ed Kim. I love that whole album right now, actually.
yeah. It's fire. It's on that same album. So when I listen to that song, I'm like, oh, this is a vibe, and it's certain songs hit you in a certain way depending on your location, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those songs that hit in the moment based on where I'm at. So that's been cool.
I love
And
that.
like, and I say all that to say is sometimes I have a vision about a picture that I want to create, and it comes out of nowhere, and then to be able to have the picture look as accurate based on what I had in my mind is pretty cool to bring something out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, it's always been an interesting outlet for me. I started also at the same high school. I took music production as well, so I've always been interested in creating something, right? So it's been cool to do music production, but I wasn't really good at it because I didn't know how to play the keyboard, and I didn't know anything about music. I mean, I knew a little bit about music, but I wish I would have took keyboard and then music theory earlier in my life,
Mhm.
so I could still be making music as well. But I just like to create whatever it is. But photography is the one where I can be by myself and practice by myself.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things where I can learn. I got instant gratification, right? When I took a picture and then it come out the way I want, it was a way for me to tweak it in my head and figure out how to get the result that I wanted. And
Wow.
I was able to do that in my office at home by myself, right? For one nothing but shooting a picture of a tennis ball, but I wanted to light it a certain way. So I had to figure out how to paint with light, and being able to sit at home and figure that out and mess up was cool. So I learned from failing. I messed up so many times that I learned how to correct all my mess ups.
Mhm. I think that's so cool. I don't know much about photography other than, someone taking your picture. So
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hear all that goes into it is very interesting, and the thought process behind it. Um,
yeah,
I love being creative in so many ways. I love to dance, I love to paint, I love to sing. There's so many different things I love to do, and I understand what you're saying when you say you have something in your head and it's a vision. Like, depending on my mood, depending on where I'm at, I might get in the mood to paint, and or I'll see something, I'm like, I want to paint that, or I just feel something and I want to sing it, or I want to write it down. So
yeah,
it's that inspiration, which is that's what helps you heal. So yeah, thanks you for sharing
yeah.
that. So
For sure.
what
So
about your creative process? Does it teach you about being present, flowing with the moment? I mean, I guess you kind of said it a little bit as well when you were speaking about um you get something in your head, a vision. So when you're in
mm.
the moment, does it teach you about being more present, or do you just kind of flow into the moment? Like, how does that go from your head to just the process, I guess?
So that's a great question. So like over time, I studied on how to create whatever you want for yourself, right? A lot of people do it in different ways, whether it's a vision board or
Mm,
writing affirmations. Um, but there's different ways you can create for yourself. But you have to
yeah.
first come up with the idea, right? And then you have to get to the point where you write your stuff down. Some people write it down, but I like to write it down because there's some power in spelling, right? Or writing words down
Mm-hmm.
without getting too deep, or not deep, but more into like a cult or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
off them. But the power of writing things down, right? And once I learned how to write things down and the power of masterminding or coming together with multiple people to create an idea and how you can once you trust people that has your good intentions behind you and you come together to create something that comes around way quicker than what you could do by yourself. Once I've been able to collaborate with people and that whole process of collaboration helps us be in the flow or in the moment when it comes down to creating whatever we want to at the time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's the photography I do, there's rarely a moment where I can create anything by myself. I'm dependent on other people, whether it's the subject that I'm capturing or I don't do landscape, so it's never, I'm just out there in nature by myself. I mean, I do it for myself, but I don't put it out there. So
Yeah.
most of the time, I'm collaborating on with other people. So it's just even though sometimes you panic about getting the shot that you want, just understand that it's gonna come and just being calm and present in the moment, like you said, understanding that you're gonna get what you want. It's just a matter of time, if that
Hmm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way I can answer that question.
No, I love that. So you say collaborating with other people. I want to, kind of flow into social media because there's a lot that goes into social media and, some people kind of feel like they have to be someone else or show something else on social media. How do you stay authentic to who you are when it comes to social media and what you love to do?
So it's a great question. I need to get better at posting my work with social media because nowadays, if you're not posting this, and it's as if you're not doing it.
Right.
So I have
Right.
to be consistent with posting it. And my thing is, for me posting my work, a lot of times I only post things that I feel like are award winning in my mind.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of my customers don't want to see award winning. They just want to see, can you do everyday pictures as well?
Mhm.
And I think I've always wanted my feed to be consistent. And I don't necessarily take award winning pictures every day.
Right, right.
So I'll give you an example. Uh, Sometimes I get hired 3 or 4 times to work at the Google building and take headshots for their building, right?
Okay.
That's not award winning photos and a headshot or something that someone would consider award winning, but for that business, they're going to see that return of investment, right? So with me, how do I post things where anyone can see their return on their investment? And that's why I got to start thinking about now um, when I post more often, not posting about me for me, but posting for my potential client. Um, and a lot of times my feed is for me. So maybe I have to, at some point, create another page and that just be for me. And then this page that everyone already follows is strictly for my potential clients so they can see what they want.
Yeah, I
And
see
to
that.
answer your question, me being authentic, I only post, currently, I only post what I feel like changed me. Right. And I'm very secretive with my my life and personal life. Like I haven't posted one picture about Hawaii, and I've been here for about 5 days.
Mhm.
And then by the time I post it, I'll already be home. People like, I didn't even know you were gone. I just That's just how I move. I don't care to post to brag. I post because it moves me, right? And I feel like it's something that I should share with the world. And
Right.
until then, I just sit home. Yeah,
I love that. So it's funny because social media is so confusing to me. I like to kind of do social experiments on social media.
okay.
People don't know, but now they gonna know. I
Yeah,
like to post things and see the response versus when I post something like positive or a affirmation or a versus when I post a picture of myself and then versus when I post like the podcast, something about that, and the response I get from people. I think it's just interesting because I love to see, well, what is moving people, and then how can I reach people, and then how can I reach, I'm gonna say this and then I'll say something else. How can I reach people with a balance of, okay, this is a little bit of what they want, but this is a little bit of what I want to give you.
yeah,
I want to give you this word, but I see you only reacting to this. And then I struggle with that. But then I also say, well, I guess whatever I post when it comes to the podcast and when it comes to, um, spreading light and love, whoever wants to hear it and whoever it's for is going to receive it no matter what. So maybe I shouldn't care as much. But
yeah.
I think it's very interesting how
And
it
that's a
works.
tough thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I know I struggle with it. Like, is it gonna reach people the way I wanted to reach it? and you ask yourself so many questions. I don't want to go into all the questions, but you ask yourself so many questions. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes you just gotta put yourself out there, right? Be vulnerable,
Right.
right? They like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. And it's gonna reach somebody, and the people that it reaches, is the people that it needs to get to.
That's true.
Yeah. Other
That's
than
true.
that, it is what it is.
That's so true. So, I mean, like we've talked a lot about, well, the healing part of creativity and photography. How has balancing your own energy, doing and being, because, sometimes we got to take a step back. We need to take time to reflect. We got to take time to just slow down, but then also we have things that we need to do. How does
Yeah.
that um shape your work and your relationships and your sense of self?
Well, traditionally, I've always been a person that cares about others and then last to take care of myself. Um,
Yeah.
but I realized recently you have to take care of yourself first in order to nourish others or help others. And I think you touched on that in your first opening statement. And I realized that even more, you kind of reiterated something that I need to work on is instead of always focusing on others, focus on myself a little bit more. And it's okay to be selfish. That's how I was always raised to not be selfish. I'm the oldest child, and the oldest child of a single parent mom. So all those things where you feel like you always have to take care of your younger sons or
Mhm.
be your mom's protector or whatever that may be, whatever that role is. Um, Over time, you just never really take care of yourself. So at this stage of my life, I'm thinking about intentionally being selfish sometimes,
Yeah, I
and
wouldn't
that's a,
say that you're being selfish though. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
yeah. But selfish or take care of yourself or whatever you want to call it, you have to take care of yourself sometimes. And most of the time, I just go and my day is driven based on how do I best help my loved ones,
Yeah.
right? And now I need to worry about how can I best help myself, and then eventually let up best help my loved ones when I'm at my best self.
You can say it however you need to say it, being selfish or whatever. However, I know that we use these terms because this is what, we've been taught and everything. And
Yeah,
honestly, to take care of yourself, that's how people show up better in the world. When we start, and I know you already know this, when we start to lose ourselves and diminish, our energy, then we show up with that, that anger, that anxiety, that frustration, and like you said, you were the oldest. Same for me. I'm the oldest, and it was kind of like you the firstborn. I had to take care of my brothers. You got to be responsible. You got to do this. You got to do that, and then you finally realize, like, wow, well, everybody else has been first, and now who am I? What do I like? What I want to do? So, I know everyone, when you're a kid, it's all like, oh no, you need to share. Oh no, you need to do this. You need to be, don't be selfish. Don't be this. Don't be that. And it's like, don't be. But that's just based on their beliefs and what their parents told them. And so
yeah,
now we taking all of our adulthood to figure out who we are for real.
yeah, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
what I thought about recently is a lot of people don't have original thoughts, right? We just regurgitate something that someone else has told us.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been able to recently, within the last 6 or 7 years, take up time to think about what are my truths and what do I think is true to me outside of someone else's opinion, whether it be my mom, my brother, whoever it may be, right?
Yeah.
All these people who cultivated how you think. What about what's true to me and what I think? When was the last time I had an original thought that's it's not something that someone on ESPN said or I read in a book or the pastor said or whatever? What is something that's an original thought to you? So
Yeah,
that's something I've been thinking about as well recently.
I agree. I think about that all the time as well. Um, and then I also think that we all receive information somehow, and then we synthesize that information to be able to give to someone else. Because, sometimes I relate to people that somebody else might not relate to, but they still need that same information. So I'm receiving that information to synthesize it in a way that the person who needs it, who's going to get it from me, can understand it or can receive it. So I'm learning that. And then also, okay, so what is my personal gifts and what can I give that's been given to me from the divine? So yeah, I definitely can relate and resonate with what you're saying. Um, so I don't know. Do you have anything else that you want to give to the people?
Hmm. I think we covered everything that I can think of at the moment.
Yeah,
Uh, but because we talked about everything, like getting grounded, getting in nature,
yeah,
uh, uh, being at one with yourself. Like for me, when I'm out here, like for example, Hawaii, or when I go outside and walk, that's some of my most creative moments, or some of the moments when I have the best thoughts.
yeah.
And for me, I need to start writing those things down as soon as I get it. Right, I'm out here like today. This whole week, I've been sitting on the beach and just hearing the waves crashing, and it's just been able to create some things in myself that I want for myself, and then things that I want to create for us, my photography business. Right,
Mhm.
so I don't know what everyone else's process is, but once you find your process, take time to just cultivate what you want, whatever that is.
Yeah.
A lot of times we think about what we don't want, and then what we don't want continues to occur in our life.
That's
I
right.
like to sit down and get out here and think about what I do want and what I want for myself and how it looks. And then eventually it always comes true.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely resonates. Cause yeah, I mean, it's a saying for that, but I'm gonna just go with what you focus on will continue to show up in your life, and so whether that's good or bad, and energy is energy. So the universe knows energy, and your
Yeah.
energy is being focused on negativity, or your energy is being focused on something that's not in alignment with you, what you want. That's what the universe is gonna give you. So I feel you. That was a very powerful statement. Thank you for that. So thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time out from your vacation and to talk with me and everyone. I
No
appreciate
problem.
that.
What's the best time? My energy is on a thousand. I know my facial expression is what it's doing. I have the same face 95% of the time. But my energy is on 1,000. Basically being here, being able to re-energize myself and get back to homeostasis, whatever you want to call it. It's been good. So the perfect time.
I love that your face is always the same because I have so many facial expressions. My face just
Yeah,
goes all which way.
yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna get into the affirmation, and the affirmation is I choose peace within myself so I can show up with love and understanding for others. I choose peace within myself so I can show up with love and understanding for others. So, all right, beautiful people, whether you follow me on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, or you're just tuning in because your spirit led you here, I'm so grateful for the support. And Devin, where can they find you at?
Uh, you find me on Instagram at Devin L. Mickens. So it's DEVIN L Mickens, MICKENS. And then my website is Devin Mickens Photography. Just if you can find me there, and you can reach me from those places, on all my other platforms, my email and the direct messages. So those two locations, you'll be able to reach me at anyway. I remember everything's on those two spots.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, thank you guys. So, thanks for sharing this moment of your life with me, and we'll see you later. Bye. Alrighty then. All done.
When you said Apple Podcast, it almost sounded like I could find your apple pie. I'm like,
Don't lose the faith. Stores a lot like we inside that rave. Gotta take my, yeah.